BDSM and non-standard relationships,
power exchange and polyamory,
sacred sexuality and fetishes, as well as simply fun kink.
You're listening to the Erotic Awakening Podcast Network.
Femme Domme Mystique, the podcast that focuses on female domination in all its lovely forms, including daddy, mistress, sir, goddess, lady, however you identify. We also focus on male and female submissives serving those mistresses and daddies and sirs. So it is a gender fluid podcast. If you have any questions, please email me at chicagomistress@gmail.com. But now on to our next topic. It's going to be a little bit longer than a traditional man's rant. I hope you all enjoyed the 50 Shades of Grey rant. There's so much more to say about that movie and that book, but I think you got my point. I also got a lot of feedback on the Pushy Bottoms podcast, and we'll be continuing that train of thought further down the road, maybe dissecting each different type and discussing what can be done to overcome those habits that may be keeping you from meeting the dom of your dreams. But today in this short podcast, I wanted to discuss on a topic that we ladies were talking about at our last Club Femme party, and I have discussed with my husband and other pro-doms over and over, and it is domestic service. Now you may think that domestic service doesn't make sense. Why am I discussing this? What does it have to do with DS? What does it have to do with BDSM? But it has a lot to do with it. Service. The key word in domestic service is service. And doing domestic work and assisting your mistress in her environment, whether it be a dungeon or a house or both, or if you're traveling and staying in hotels, domestic service is its own unique form of power exchange. And the reason I want to discuss it today is because I have been getting a lot of emails from submissives who want to come over and clean my dungeon or, build something or do some kind of domestic work in my locations in exchange for play. Now, that's all well and good if it's something the mistress and the submissive negotiate. When I consider domestic service, here's some of the things that I consider falling into that label. Cleaning house, yard work, minor repairs, running errands, grocery shopping, making my tea in the morning, doing my laundry, taking care of my car, putting gas in it, cleaning my car. Anything that helps make my domestic setting, whether it be my dungeon or my home, easier and better for me as the mistress is what I classify as domestic service. Honestly, over the years, I have had two key slaves for domestic service. And they were very focused on taking care of my environment and their pride in their work. I must say, gentlemen and ladies, that if you are interested in domestic service and it is the only thing you are interested in, when you approach a dominant, that is something that you need to state. We get many, many emails from people who are interested in doing domestic service, but who want to use it as an exchange method for play. I am not a fan of the barter system. I do not believe that if you come over and clean my house for 4 hours, that it entitles you to 4 hours of play, unless it is something that we have negotiated beforehand. If you desire to play with me, either as a professional or a lifestyler, it is something that needs to be negotiated, especially if it's considering my professional dungeon. If I have never met you before, I don't know who you are, I don't know your skills, I do not know if we have a good energy exchange and a good connection, I am not going to have you come over to my dungeon for 4 to 5 hours and clean it, especially when I don't know who you are or your standards. Domestic service is not a way to get free play, regardless of whether the lady is a professional dominatrix or a lifestyle mistress. Just because you offer to clean my bathroom does not automatically guarantee you that I am going to play with you hours and hours because you deign to clean my bathroom. The concept of service is a very special one to me. I am a high protocol dom, especially in my lifestyle. I like the pomp and circumstance. I like mannerisms. I like control. I like regulations. It gets me off. That is one reason I consider domestic service part of a high protocol relationship. I'm not going to consider it a means to an end. If you want to serve me, especially personally, take the necessary steps to do so following the proper protocol. If you want a session with me, then that is one thing. Do not try and barter your way in by saying you're going to come over and clean the bathroom. That's great. I will have you come over and clean the bathroom if I know who you are, if I've seen you before, if you follow my procedures and my protocol. But these people who email me out of the blue saying, what can I do for you, ma'am? I would really like to be your houseboy. What does it take to be a personal? Well, it takes a lot of dedication. And the place to start, at least with me, is with a professional session. If I'm interested in you in a lifestyle concept or context, I will tell you. Sending ladies emails that you want to be their live-in personal slave right off the bat when you've never even met them and they don't know you from Adam is a good way to get your email deleted. That shows that you don't care about the lady. You just want to be a live-in personal slave. You don't care to who, you don't care where. I get tons and tons of emails about I want to relocate from Yugoslavia, Germany, Canada, Texas, and come be your live-in slave and be kept in chains and sleeping in a cage. The fantasy is completely different from the reality of a 24/7 relationship. And on the concept of 24/7, I will have my sissy, Brenna, on a later podcast. And also, Tammy Jo Eckert and her boy will be discussing 24/7 power exchange later this month. Look for that on the blog. I will put up the post of when those two podcasts will be coming up. I'm excited to be having another 24/7 couple discussing their dynamic on the show. But service is its own reward. I have had some wonderful service bottoms who that is the joy because it's taking care of their mistress. It's taking care of their dom. Regardless of gender, I've had both ladies and I've had males. And they don't expect anything in return for it. If you go into a power exchange relationship expecting it to be 50-50, you are in for a big surprise. It is not 50-50, just like any relationship. Sometimes it's 60-40, sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes 80-20. It should be fairly balanced, but it is not always balanced. And if you come at me and say, well, I just spent 4 hours cleaning out your garage, therefore you must play with me for 4 hours, you and I are going to have some issues because that's not the way it works. Inquire what the lady is seeking in regards to domestic service. Don't offer tons of things that she doesn't need, like home cooking and massaging her feet. I really don't want someone massaging my feet. I'm not crazy about it. And I'm the cook in the family. I prefer to do the cooking. I like the control in my kitchen. Stay out of my kitchen. You can ask my slaves. Only if I need your help. So before you approach a lady in regards to any kind of domestic service, or even when you do, ask what she prefers. What kind of service would you enjoy? What may I do to please you, ma'am? Would you like it if I cleaned your bathroom? Would you like it if I did massage your feet? Would you like a manicure pedicure day? Now, anything to make her life easier is service. That's the true reward of service submission, is the smile on your lady's face when you've done something that makes her life so much easier, and now she doesn't have to freaking worry about it. I love when my slaves help clean my house, because then that means I don't have to spend a day doing it. Now let's discuss cleaning the house. If someone approaches me and they want to do cleaning of my house, the first thing I'm going to do is have them show me pictures of their own house. Or I'm going to go visit their house. And I'm also going to look at their car. I happen to be a very big clean freak. And if you cannot keep your environments clean, how are you supposed to keep mine clean? The second thing I do is inform them that if they are going to do this kind of service work, it is not guaranteed play per hour. 1 hour cleaning, 1 hour play. Unless it's something we negotiate. I know a mistress in Wisconsin who she does that, but she doesn't do it 1 for 1. It's not 4 hours of cleaning, 4 hours of play. It's 4 hours of cleaning, maybe hour or 2 hours of play. Because honestly, both are very hard work, but the intensity and the energy that goes into play is a lot more than cleaning my bathroom. When you enter a domestic service contract, keep an open mind. And ladies, this goes on both sides. Communication is very key, because cleaning a house, believe it or not, is a very individualistic mode. I like my bathroom cleaned a certain way. Mistress ABC may like hers cleaned a different way. Communicate what you like to the domestic servant. If you do not give him or her the proper tools to clean properly, you cannot punish or correct because of your lack of communication to them. On the flip side, if you are the domestic service person, ask what the lady's preferences are. Does she prefer Windex? Does she prefer organics? A lot of people have allergies nowadays and have gone completely green, completely organic to prevent their allergies getting inflamed. A lot of people don't like ammonia. A lot of people don't like bleach. So you need to take into consideration, even though this may be the way you clean your bathroom at home, you're now in service to a lady, and those are her preferences. The last thing you want to do is use something that's going to cause a skin reaction to her or a sneezing fit. So be open to her input about how she likes having her bathroom cleaned. Ladies, on that note, make sure you communicate any kind of allergies if you're requiring your domestic servant to provide the cleaning supplies. Usually when someone comes to my house, I provide the cleaning supplies. I've got plenty on hand. Go figure that. I won't have them go buy anything unless I'm out of it. Much easier. I've got my things on hand. I lay out what they need. I say, this is for the mirrors, this is for the toilet, this is for the sink. I have a granite top on my sink, so we don't use anything abrasive on that. So I tell them specifically what goes where and how it is to be done. I tell them what needs to be cleaned in this room and how it needs to be cleaned. I will not do it for them, but I will explain how I like things done. So, domestic service, it's all about preferences. What does the lady who's getting the service like, need, and require? It's a step beyond just a play session. It's getting to know the lady who you are serving and getting to know how to please her and to make her happy. And that's what a power exchange relationship is about. Now, given she will also be on that end where she needs to learn what your likes and your dislikes are and what kind of play you like and what kind of exchange you like. And it's a dynamic and it's fluid. But if you expect to bribe me with saying, I'm going to clean your house, so would you play with me for 4 hours? That's the first thing out of your mouth. I'm going to delete your email. I don't want to get a phone call that says, I want to be your 24/11 slave. Unless you are my 24/11 slave, or we've had a relationship for a while and have a well-established connection. I'm not going to allow some stranger to move into my house without doing my homework. Some people who I've had do domestic service for me are surprised when I check their work. Why would I not? Even if I hire a maid to clean my house, I'm going to check their work. It's my house. So don't be surprised when your lady checks your work. It's very similar to giving my slave any task and not following up. What type of mistress would I be if I just said, go do X? They come back and say, okay, X is done. And I'm like, okay, well, how is X done? A good mistress follows through. If the domestic servant comes over, cleans your bathroom, you're busy watching TV with a cup of tea, that's great. Relax and watch your cup of tea. Maybe put them on the floor in front of you, But sooner or later, you're going to have to check their work. If they leave and 3 days later you go into the guest bathroom and there's streaks all over the mirror, you really can't yell at them. Make the effort to check their work while they're in your presence so that they know that there may be a problem. It's good follow-up. Whenever someone tries to guilt me into play for exchange of service, I wonder about their character. Because it always reminds me of the vanilla analogy of dating, in where, well, you go out to date, and you go out to a nice dinner, and afterwards you're expected to give sex, or some type of sexual service in exchange for the nice dinner. Well, I treated you to a nice dinner, aren't you going to invite me in? Well, no, I'm not, and now I'm never going to see you again. It's kind of the same way. Well, I just cleaned your bathroom for 4 hours. Aren't you going to spank my ass? Well, aren't you going to tie me up? Well, what do I get for this? It's all well and good to have desires. It's all well and good to want play and that exchange and that connection. But to do so one-on-one for something you're doing for someone is very shallow. And it's not the kind of person I want to serve me. I want those to serve me because they want to serve me, because they want to see me smile. They want to see mistress happy. And that's what domestic service is about. I'm going to conclude this short little rant about domestic service with the example from one of my favorite corny movies, which actually got some things right, much better than 50 Shades of Grey, where Rosie O'Donnell is asked, what may I do to please you, mistress? And she replies, go paint my house. She wasn't kidding, guys. And he did go paint her house, and she was very happy, and it made her smile. And he didn't say, your house is painted, let's go play for 24 hours. He did it to make her happy. And that's what domestic service is about. Consider that when you are offering to come clean my house or engaging in some type of domestic service. And ladies, consider that when you put it out there that you want something like that. Be very clear and get the submissive's expectations up front and state your needs up front. Domestic service is just like all BDSM and all power exchange. It is about communication. It is about feedback and discussion. And if you engage in those, you will have a successful power exchange relationship. I hope this cleared up some points of view on domestic service. Now, I'm going to go check on my sissy who's cleaning the bathroom. Thank you for joining me and Femme Domme Mystique. I've had some wonderful feedback. I've had some wonderful topic ideas. Look for my first guest coming up in the next 2-3 weeks. Please visit the blog that goes along with this Femme Domme Mystique podcast at chicagomistressblog.com. And have a wonderfully kinky day.